Studnick Aquatics here. I started releasing a series of videos where I was going to use this 150-gallon aquarium right here and eventually have a coral reef system for my living room. But I was moving forward real well on it, started filling it with water, but it started leaking out of that back bottom seam. I honestly don't know why we didn't do anything to it, but it was very unfortunate. So I have regrouped on what I'm going to do here, and here is some of the equipment I'm going to be using. But basically I'm going to switch to a 75-gallon aquarium because I own one of those. It's in perfect condition, so we will be doing the 75-gallon aquarium, and I can use the existing stand because they're both 4 feet long. So basically the way I'm going to be doing this, even though I'm not using that aquarium, basically the way I'm going to be doing this system is I'm going to set it up with artificial coral inserts first. I'm going to have limited filtration. It's going to be hang on the back filtration. It's going to be hang on the back protein skimmers. I will buy all of my my fish that I buy and my invertebrates will be reef safe. Eventually, once this system is running, and it's been running for a while, I will switch over to a sump filtration. I will remove the artificial coral inserts. I will put in base rock, and I will start buying corals. So the system will be up and running. All my biological filtration will be there. My water change schedule will be working, and everything will work very, very well. So basically I thought that I would go through some of the equipment that I do have here and what some of it, I have a lot of it around. I used to have a 240-gallon saltwater system in my basement. I switched it over to cichlids, and I'll just go through the equipment that I have sitting right here. I did buy these two Aqua Top. They're inexpensive. They're max flow MCP 10 circulation pumps. I was going to have one on each end. That would give me the flow I needed, because they move 2,642 a piece, but now they're going to be too big for a 75. That's just going to be way too much water movement, so I will not be using those. I'll save those for another project. This here is a smart auto top-off that I bought a few years ago. It does work. I will not be using it until I get my sump filtration, because the little pump inside will not pump from down below all the way up into the tank because doesn't have enough head pressure. This here is actually an old school, but this is a flow meter, and they do work. They give you a pretty good idea what's going on. The reason I did that was once I switched this over to corals, I will be picking up an Aquatic Life Turbo Twist UV sterilizer. I have one downstairs. It works wonderful. I really like it. And this way I can check my flow to make sure I'm targeting what I'm doing. This pump I actually purchased new a while back. This is actually the Lifeguard Quiet One, a 4000. Moves 1,022 gallons per hour. With the head pressure, I'm going to be moving about 650, maybe 700 gallons per hour. And that is going to be the return pump for my sump. So I'm not using it initially, but it will be part of the later build. The other thing I did pick up a new one of these pythons. My old one is just worn out. And when I do water changes, I will be using that, hook it up to my sink in my kitchen. I can take my water out, and then I have I'm going to build a mixing station in my basement, and all I have to do is flip a switch next to the aquarium, and I'll have return water of salt water, coming in for water changes, if that makes any sense. Some of the other things I have here, I did pick up this little J return, YouTube return, and that's actually going to be for my initial top off. And since my little top off system here will not pump that high, basically inside the stand on this thing, I have a 20 long aquarium that I'm going to be buying a baffle kit for to turn into a sump for sump filtration. I had to put that in there initially because once you put the aquarium on top of the stand, it won't fit through the door. So I'm using the 20 long as my top off water for now, and then eventually I will drain it. I will build the baffle kit inside the stand. I'll move a 10 in for top off, and then I'll have a 20-gallon sump kit for this 75-gallon aquarium. So what I'm doing is this pump does have enough head pressure, so it's going to be laying in my top off set and my freshwater reservoir underneath. It will have a hose hooked up to it that will go to this return on the end of the aquarium, and I have a power strip that has a switch on it. It's actually just a plug-in. It's actually just a heavy-duty cord with a switch. So all I have to do when my display tank is starting to get low on water is flip that switch, and it'll take water directly out of that 20-gallon freshwater reservoir and put it in the aquarium. I will have a float. I've bought a float for my RODI system. I have an RO buddy in the basement, and that's what I filled this tank up with, and filling them up with is all RODI. So I'll flip that switch. I'll put that float on that RODI system in my freshwater reservoir so it's full at all times. This is the salt that I'm planning on using. I looked into it a lot. I will be doing regular water changes, and the goal is to eventually have a coral reef in this system, and this is the Red Sea Coral Pro Salt is what I'm using. I did actually buy new crushed coral. I like the crushed coral better than the sand. I have it, I'm going to be using it in there, but I also picked up some Carib Sea live sand, not a lot. I want a really thin sand bed, and I'm going to be put that coral reef, or the crushed coral in there, and then I'll put this live sand on top of that. This is actually that cord I was talking about for topping off my display tank. All I have to do is flip that switch. This pump will kick on, and it'll fill that display tank. I have a lot of test kits around, but I did buy new ones because they're all expired. This one here does pH, ammonia, nitrites, and nitrates. This one does carbonate hardness, phosphate, nitrate, and calcium. And the only other thing I need to do is I need to buy a magnesium test kit eventually. So that is the plan on what I am going to be doing. I have ordered some more stuff that will be going with this system, but that is a beginning of my 75-gallon Coral Reef Aquarium build, part 1. This is Technic Aquatics. Thanks for watching.